This video was inspired by Fish Stick on a Stick. His channel talks about terribly written creepypastas such as Baggy Britches, The Real Chuck E. Cheese, and of course, Sonic.exe and its subsequent sequel. Link to his channel is in the description below. Okay, I originally wanted to make a video about a game someone released called The Siren, but that's gonna have to wait, because I found a little gem on my DeviantArt page that I haven't seen in years. For those unaware, I, back in 2015, wrote a lost episode creepypasta. It's not on the creepypasta wiki, it's not on Reddit, and it's certainly not on Fur Affinity. It's called This Is Your Life Bear, named after the, at the time, lost series finale of the children's show Bear in the Big Blue House. Taking place on a Skype group chat, our main character, I wonder who it is, received a bootleg DVD from his father. The DVD contained a never-before-seen bonus episode which shares the same title as the series finale. While watching the episode, it seemed pretty normal until weird shit starts happening for unexplained reasons. When reading this story, you can clearly tell which creepypastas I took elements from actually good creepypastas like Candle Cove, to horribly cliche ones like Dead Bart, Squidward's Suicide, Suicide Mouse, and many more. Granted, this story's not as graphic or as offensive as Squidward's Suicide or Happy Appy, but it doesn't really set itself apart from other creepypastas. You could have took this story, changed the show, and it would have made no difference. You could have wrote this about King of the Hill and it would have been exactly the same. But let's give my 14-year-old self the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I had a hidden meaning behind all of the imagery mentioned in the episode. Maybe I had a dark past that seeped into the story without people realizing it. Or maybe I was just emo and hated everybody. But again, let's give the benefit of the doubt. Let's take a look at my first creepypasta, This Is Your Life Bear. Also, for the sake of this creepypasta video, I'm just gonna be using nothing but the Ed, Edd n Eddy soundtrack because I can, okay? Okay. The story begins at a Skype group chat, and immediately I have a problem with this. Not that it's a bad idea, but take a good look at this group chat. Notice anything wrong? Everything looks too perfect and too clean. This does not look like a typical group chat on Skype or Discord. Let's take a look at Candle Cove for comparison. Candle Cove takes place on the Net Nostalgia discussion forums. There are grammar errors, spelling mistakes, and the use of emoticons everywhere. But it works in Candle Cove because it's more realistic. You would expect this to be in group chats and discussion forums all over the internet. Some full-grown adults type like this in group chats. This helps the reader give the illusion that the events taking place really happened. By taking those errors away and making everything look perfect, you take away the realism in this setting. Everything looks fake here. You don't really believe that this situation ever happened because everything here looks way too perfect. So yeah, that's problem number one. Problem number two is this particular paragraph where I copy and pasted an episode plot synopsis from Wikipedia. Yes, I was that fucking lazy. I don't think I'm gonna like this. So my dad in the story gave me a bootleg DVD featuring all of the episodes from the original series, all of the episodes from a spin-off series, don't you mean Breakfast with Bear? 3 CDs featuring a buttload of the songs from both the original and spin-off series, and it has the live show DVD. In the story, did my dad give me a DVD and 3 CDs, or are there 3 CDs worth of music on the DVD? It's never clarified. Moving on, I decided to watch the entire DVD and I went offline. 2 or so hours later, I go back online freaking out. In the bonus features menu, there is a bonus episode and I have the video file for the so-called bonus episode. So, did I just rip all of the episodes out of the DVD and onto my computer, or this particular episode only? Never clarified. One of my friends, LB, downloaded the episode and watched it for himself. Okay, now we get to the part everyone's waiting for in a lost episode creepypasta. the part where we actually get to see what happened in the episode. Get your barf bags ready, ladies and gentlemen, because this is going to get ugly. The episode began with the opening from seasons 1 through 3, despite sharing the title of the series finale, which was from either seasons 4 or 5. The story says that it was from season 5, and even Wikipedia says that there are 5 seasons of the show, but the Muppet Wiki says that there are 4 seasons. I don't know. Then the title appears. Originally, Bear was supposed to open the front door and let you in the house, but instead, the camera pans to the otter pond. We see Bear himself standing on a small bridge for 30 seconds. That seems oddly specific, but whatever. After that, Bear turned his head to look at the camera. He had his normal, easygoing attitude, like in the original show. Bear says to the viewer, "Hello everybody, it's nice to see you again. Come in my big blue house, we have a surprise for all of you." The camera then panned to the inside of the big blue house with Bear inside, staring in front of the camera for a few seconds, as if he was truly expecting us. Did you not see the show? It happens almost every episode. Bear spoke again. "I'm so glad you're here. I was just about to find Pip and Pop at the otter pond, but then you decided to visit." We then get the sniffing segment in the episode. In the original series, Bear notices a smell somewhere in the house and asks the infamous question,
"What's that smell?"
He sniffs around, then sniffs the camera, or the viewer watching at home, and says,
"It's you!"
He sniffs you again and compares your scent with something pleasant, like sweet berries or fresh apple pie. But in this haunted episode, he simply says, "You smell good, as usual. How predictable," followed by a depressed sigh. Afterwards, another character is introduced. Tutter the mouse walks up and pokes at Bear's tail. He asks, "Where's Ojo, Bear?" Bear turns his head and replies with, "She'll be here in a minute." He then walks to the kitchen and sits at the table with a depressed look on his face. Tutter looks confused here. Then we get to one of the cringiest parts of this particular pasta. One of my friends, Changeling Rider, asks, "Now what? Is there going to be some satanic ritual scene where one of the characters gets sacrificed and dies?" Then I replied with, "Honestly, there's no scene like that in the episode. Nothing that would scar the lives out of us. It's just depressing." Pointing out to people that your pasta doesn't contain any of the creepypasta cliches, such as hyperrealism, tons of blood and gore and other shit, doesn't make your creepypasta deep nor scary. Even then, this pasta isn't really that meta, because it still contains certain creepypasta cliches. Anyway, Tutter asks, "What's wrong, Bear? Are you upset about something?" "Isn't it obvious?" Bear responds with, "Sometimes things are left quiet." The way I worded that makes no fucking sense. Then we get an extreme close-up of Bear's face. You know, it would be kind of funny if this was just a random YTP I wrote as a creepypasta, but it's not. During this scene, the viewers could hear footsteps in the background. I first assumed it was my brother's, but nobody was there. Okay, hold the fuck on. Time out. Nobody was there except for your dad, which you didn't mention again until the end of this story. He's almost completely absent throughout this story. The only thing this character did was give the main character the fucking bootleg DVD. Then he disappears, only to come back at the end of the story. You could have assumed that the dad got the DVD from a shady thrift shop somewhere, or maybe assumed that he was the one who created the DVD, but nothing came of it. Some could argue that the absence of the dad character adds more mystery behind the DVD. As the writer of this piece of shit and have not read this after 4 years, I disagree. I just shoehorned the dad character into the plot, have him do one thing to keep the plot moving forward, and completely forgot about him until the end. I've wasted an opportunity to add some lore and mystery in this story. The characters came to the conclusion that it was just a random person fixing something on the set that was never seen on camera. After this, the camera cuts to Ojo's room. Ojo was on her bed, as still as a stone. She was frowning and her face was all blurry. Like if somebody took a screenshot of Ojo in a room and somebody blurred her face in Photoshop. Fuck you! Why don't you tell the audience that the visuals are like a poorly made clip show made in Sony Vegas while you're at it?
Do I even have to make fun of this?
After this scene, it cuts to Trilo the lemur and the two otters, Pip and Pop, sitting on the couch in the living room. Wait a moment. This is just turning into Ed, Edd and Eddy Lost episode. I mean, think about it. The Ed, Edd and Eddy creepypasta contains various different scenes in a random order, showcasing different characters. First there's the two Eds, then Kevin, then Double D, then Jimmy and Sarah, then Rolf, Naz, Johnny, back to Eddie. You get it by now. This has a similar thing going on. First it goes to Bear at the otter pond, then at the house, then we introduce Tutter, then Ojo, then Trilo with Pip and Pop.
This is unacceptable.
A piece of text appears on the bottom right corner of the screen which reads April 28, 2007, similar to an old VHS camcorder. The text stayed on screen for 20 seconds. Pip and Pop had their eyes closed with their head down while Trilo covers his eyes with his tail. One of them whispers to the other, "Tag, you're it." The next scene shows a time card which reads 1 week later. Bear gets a letter in the mail from his friend from Spain named Ursa. Now you're probably expecting the letter to have some satanic shit in it covered in hyper-realistic blood or something. But instead, the letter says, "Dear Bear, I miss you so much. I can't wait for the surprise you promised me. Love, Ursa. P.S. The rest of the note was scribbled out. Bear says, I miss Ursa. I want to visit her sometime. The emo bear addicted to My Chemical Romance walks back inside the house. Okay, this is supposed to be the scariest part. This is it. What happens? A gigantic? What the fuck? A gigantic scream was heard, but Bear just ignored it and says to the camera, probably the stupidest thing ever. He says, I'm sorry. 2/12/2015 or February 12th, 2015. This pasta pulled a Fallout 3 number stations on us. Yeah, remember the number station legend? Where a number station used secret codes and dates to tell the future or something along those lines? This is kind of like that, but with one minor difference. While the Fallout 3 number stations use secret codes to predict a few tragedies and deaths, something actually kinda messed up. In this story, what does this specific date mean? That's the day I rediscovered the show. Nothing horrific, nothing creepy, nothing to give the main character an actually interesting backstory. Just pointless shit. The characters find some other cryptic bullshit involving a painting in the background of one shot. Some randomly placed fruits in the painting reveal a secret message. Life is a joke. You're going to hear that phrase repeatedly in this story. The scene ends with Bear saying the exact phrase. It cuts to the scene where Bear and Luna talk about what happened in the episode, followed by the goodbye song. They then sing the goodbye song, but before they could finish the song, it cuts to the end credits with whispering hidden in the audio. Do you know what the message was? You guessed it, life is a joke. Then the episode pulls a suicide mouse as Japanese text appears for a split second before the episode ends. It translates to, why should we exist? Then the story kind of abruptly ends with the characters going offline. I say the stupidest line in the story, then I go offline, and that's how the story ends. Overall, I was expecting this to be 10 times worse. I was expecting shit similar to man door hand hook car door, but as my first official creepypasta that I've ever written and publicly posted, it's kind of bland and forgettable, and in this string of bad lost episode creepypastas that are more or less the same, this one just kind of blends in with the others with no real twists or surprises. I'm surprised I was able to read this story again without laughing. It takes elements from other creepypastas. Of course there's grammar issues, though they should have been all over the story to add more realism in this group chat setting similar to what Candle Cove did. And on top of that, there were many wording issues and things that just don't add up, leaving you asking questions about everything. Is it the worst creepypasta ever written? No, there are far worse out there. Jeff the Killer. But I want to know what you guys think. I'll put a link to the story in the description if you want to read it in its entirety. Just a fair warning, you may or may not laugh your ass off. Okay, I'm Alexander, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.